wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Iron Lady sings it from Bugs Bunny. Can I make that reference to Bugs Bunny? That makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, for 16 years and over 2,300 episodes, we bring you the Chris Voss Show. And why not? Because we had nothing better to do except entertain you folks. So, damn it, you better appreciate it or else. I don't know what or else means. It's just a great callback. Anyway, we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking to her about her insights, her multi-books that she does, the shows that she makes for the television and the movies, I believe. And we'll get into all of her stuff. But in the meantime, we have to guilt and shame you to refer you to the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and Chris Voss Facebook.com. Today we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her newest book. Nicole Conn joins us on the show. Her latest book is called Descending Thirds and is going to be out wherever fine books are sold. So you can check them out there. And we're going to be getting to some of the insights of her experience and what she does well. If I can just find her bio here, we'll be good to go. There it is. Nicole Conn. Too many tabs on the podcast. Nicole Conn has been pioneering filmmaking for 35 years. She's known for her cult classic, Claire of the Moon, soon to have its 35th year re-release, following its 10th and 20th year re-releases. Among her best-selling features, Elena Undone, A Perfect Ending, Little Man, and More Beautiful for Having Been Broken, has achieved worldwide industry recognition with her lesbian-themed films, and is perhaps best known writer-director of women's films in the world. Notably, Elena Undone holds the record for the longest kiss in cinematic history. I'd like to try and break that record, but I haven't started my OnlyFans. Another pioneering effort, she created Coming Out for Love, the first ever LGBTQ dating competition show. It's kind of like a version of The Bachelor, only, I don't know, with less annoying people on it, maybe? I don't know.
Much less annoying.
Throwing rocks at The Bachelor. In her earlier career, she was published by Simon Schuster, Angel Wings, Passions, Shadow, She Walks with Beauty, and novelizations like Elena Undone and Claire of the Moon. It took her 25 years, but finally in 2025, Descending Thirds will be published March 15th and is deeply personal, like her films that will also release Blue Love Dance, A Sin of Romance, and behind-the-scenes look at the making of her single favorite sequence of her career. Welcome to the show. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming, Nicole. We certainly appreciate it. Give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find out more about you on the interwebs?
You can find out everything about me and all my product at NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com. I know that's a mouthful. NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com and ComingOutForLove.com. That's where the show is.
There you go. Writer, director, editor, and mother. How do you do it all? Lots of caffeine?
I've been extremely driven. I used to do a lot of caffeine, yes. I am so in love with what I do, Chris, that it's very, very easy for me to just keep pumping things out. As long as people are watching and supporting, I'll keep making the movies, the books, you name it.
There you go. So tell us about this latest offering that you have coming out, Descending Thirds.
So yes, I started Descending Thirds 25 years ago. And when I first had it out as a script and a book, it was like completely this insane moment, like Hollywood moment. All the agencies wanted it, ICM, CAA, William Morris. I signed with number 2 at William Morris, who said I'd get 7 figures for this book. And ultimately, he couldn't sell it. And so I essentially veered into filmmaking for the next, 20 plus years. And then I decided to do another couple of drafts. I had been revising it over the 25 years and found a manager who loved it. And finally found a little boutique house, Story Merchant Books, that's publishing it March 15th.
Oh, wow. There you go. Well, that's awesome. I mean, some things just take longer to make, and that's what makes them great. Is they sit around and they ferment.
They foment. They gestate.
Yeah. I tend to ferment more than foment in my old age, but foment.
I have discovered that projects only happen when they're ready. It doesn't matter what you do, And it's one of those things that I learned, about 20 years ago, because I would want to do something and then something else would happen. So I just sort of let the world fate show me where I was supposed to be.
There you go. Well, that's how I describe my first 10 marriages. So I don't know what it's
you got me beat there.
I don't know what to. So tell us, you finally got this book out. Can you give us a tease out, a little synopsis maybe of it?
It's a super personable book for me because my mother was a classical pianist before she decided to have the three of us girls. She remarried and had two more boys in the meantime. But when the story goes, when she had me, she came home and my father had bought her a piano. And she threw me in the crib, never to be seen again until I was screaming for food. And so I think from that point forward, it was sort of part of my DNA that I fell in love with classical music. I was, our daughter, Gabrielle, was gestating when I started working on this script. It became the outline for the book. And it was like the most creative burst I'd ever had while she was gestating. It just felt like these two things really, really went together. And after she was born, I'd put her in a Bjorn and finish writing the book with her, strapped to my chest. So I always felt like she infused me with a lot of, creative vibe. And then my son was born 18 months later, and he was a micro preemie and the subject of Little Man, the documentary that I made about his first 5 years of life, which were pretty hospital ridden. But he also loves classical music. And that's the one way in which we communicate with each other because he's sort of nonverbal. He's 23 now. And classical music and classical piano in specific are his loves. So now we're 25 years later. My mother has aggressive Parkinson's, severely aggressive Parkinson's. And she still sits at the piano every single day, playing her heart out, whether she can hit the notes or not, whether she can feel her fingertips or not. She told me the other day, I don't know what's happening. The black keys are 2 inches above the white keys. And so it's just sort of this heartbreaking, but also like she's valiant in the fact that she keeps going for it. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy that in the audiobook where I'm putting all the pieces of music that you hear will be played in the background. There are 4 pieces that she had recorded that I'm going to be able to use in the book.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm very, very happy that I can showcase my mother's, talent, because today it's heartbreaking to watch her, but it's also on some level, like I said, very valiant the way she approaches it.
There you go. Well, I'm glad she does that. I mean, I think that helps keep the brain as sharp as it possibly can. And there's some people that sometimes they go into a different state when they play music. And, so, they found that, I remember watching, I think he had Alzheimer's, Tony Bennett fade away. And it was really sad. And it came to a point that he didn't know where he was half the time. But if they put a mic in his hand and played some piano. It's the muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
He would go right back to being Tony Bennett. It was amazing.
I let you know. So the book takes place in the classical music world, and it's a triangular love story. It's a sort of sweeping, epic, romantic book, but it's also thematically about what we do in our lives, whether you're an artist, which is art versus commerce, packaging versus talent. It's what we all do when we compromise, we face choices where we have to sell our soul to become world famous. Do you do that, or do you not sell your soul and stay like one of the characters who's a genius savant who doesn't really care about how people respond to his music? It's just he writes the most beautiful music in the world because he is such a genius.
You mean there was an option not to sell my soul?
Yes, there was.
For this podcast. Damn it!
Forgot to check that box.
$5 is what I got.
Yes, you did. $5.
$5, eh? But I am a cheap soul. So,
Was it worth it, Chris?
well, my dates have told me I'm a cheap soul, so I think that's where that goes. The other joke I want to claw back to is, let's see, you mentioned that you and your family communicate using classical music. So, like, if someone ever says anything bad, do you like say to them, "Hey, do you want to take that Bach? Bach? Get it? Bach."
Yes. Or
Yeah.
was it something I played?
Was that something? Was that something? There you go. Boy, we just turned the show a whole different way, didn't we? So tell us about your films, and your TV work. Is the one show that you have coming out for love dating show? Is that on TV, film? How's
No,
that work?
it's streamed through comingoutforlove.com, or you
Okay.
can get it also through NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com. But I'm really super proud of this show because, well, when my daughter was 5, 6, 7, we started watching The Bachelorette together. And after 3 or 4 years, and she loved picking her horse and betting on that horse, and that person was going to win. That's what she was in it for. And after a few years, she said, "Mommy, why aren't there 2 women? Why aren't there 2 women dating?" And so at that point, I was like, "Oh, I've got to do this show." And it took me 15 years to get it off the ground, because everything in the industry, as you know, takes forever. But I'm proud of it because we have 16 incredible, diverse, multi-talented contestants. We have 19 guest judges who are the same. Our key master is Amber Whittington, who has a big, huge following from Amber's Closet on YouTube. And our host is the amazing Jessica Clark, who's like our Padma Lakshmi and Kat Deely all rolled into one. She's just brilliant in her role as host. And it's 16 one-hour episodes, and you get to see who she picks at the end.
There you go.
It's like The Bachelor.
And it's got trans, queer, lesbians, bisexual. It's got the whole LGBTQ community on there and all that good stuff. Now, is it still? It's in season 1. I see here. Is that
season 1 right now? The thing I would love for people to. The straight world does not know us this way, and that's one of the things that I'm really, really proud of the show too. It's not like The Bachelor in the sense that we deal with some really very intense pieces. The first day of shooting, Amber found out one of the girls there had used the N-word in a video, and that she knew her from that. And so we had this huge race talk right in the first couple of episodes. Wow. And we had a alcoholism storyline. I mean, it's really, really got a lot of depth to it as well.
There you go. Well, The Bachelor drove me to drink. This show's so annoying. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
I love The Bachelor because it's just so silly and romantic. Yeah, that's. I mean,
I think I just don't buy into all the drama. I'm not.
Well, now it's just becoming insane. I mean, the first 5, 6, 7 years, I think it was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
It's become really everybody's talk about selling one's soul. It's everybody's avenue to a bigger sort of industry role.
Some of the dudes they have on there, I think, are definitely not supposed to be on a hetero show. I'll just say that. Maybe they should be on your show. But then when they had like the really old guy on, remember that? Oh,
yeah, I didn't see that. My mother watched it, though, and she loved it. So
I don't know why I'm throwing shade at 57 at old guys, but I suppose that's the self-effacing part of this joke. But yeah, I remember the old guy was on, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why do I have people that, anyway, I was just like, I don't know, I'm not into this whole thing. And then the cat fighting and stuff, I just don't get into. But, hey, man, everyone's got their shows they like, right? I like Landman. Other people like The Bachelor. People like your show. It's all good. So, yeah, I think you guys recorded The Longest Kiss was on this show. Is that?
Oh, no. That's Elena Undone.
Okay.
It was, I was trying to figure out, how do you convey that first kiss you have with somebody that you're madly, madly in love with, and you just sort of fall into it and you lose consciousness practically. And it just is this forever time. And I thought
that's a hell of a kiss.
Yeah. Well, Elena Undone is completely based on my relationship with my ex-wife partner, Marina Rice Bader. I didn't even have to write half the dialogue. Pretty much the film is our story. Oh, wow. And the first time we kissed, it lasted about 8 hours. So I wanted to present it in a film. Yeah.
Now, is it 8 hours in the movie or
No. It's 3 minutes and 29 seconds. It just,
I think in film time that's 8 hours.
Well, it is.
There's a montage.
If it's that long, you have to really work on making that work and satisfy it. But people love it, and
plus you have to really like the other person too, so that helps.
Yeah.
Helps if you do. When my espresso machine, my expensive espresso machine, showed up the other day, I gave it a very long kiss. That might have been some sort of inner.
That's
I don't
probably
know
a record breakers.
I'm not sure.
Just with your coffee machine.
I know there's an LGBTQ series, but maybe we need to add a C to the end for coffee or something, because I'm in love with coffee. And I kiss it I kiss it every morning as I drink.
I kiss my espresso every morning, but that's it. Okay. I can't drink it later in the day anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hope I never burn out, but I got an iron belly of steel, so I hope I never get sick of espresso. But there's still time.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it after a while in the afternoons and evenings.
Yeah. I give my dog kisses on the forehead too. She hates it because she's a husky and she judges a lot, but that's a different show. She just looks at me like, just give me treats, dummy. Leave me alone. Don't touch me. Just give me treats. But they're cute. So let's get into what else have we missed that we want to plug out for you and talk about.
Well, Clear of the Moon is having its 35th year anniversary re-release. We're actually up-resing. So the first film I did, I shot on 35 millimeter, and we cut it on a flatbed. It's like back in the day. And now, my films are all on one drive sort of thing. So it's just, it's an amazing transformation that the film industry has gone through. So we're up-resing and recoloring and restoring the film for its re-release. I'm very happy about it. It was the first film I did. I'm autodidactic, so I learned on the set. Pam Curry, who was my producer, she was there for me every step of the way. I've been blessed with people helping me, people funding me. Super, super blessed all my life. And Clear of the Moon is probably not my best film because it was my first film, but it is still. I get letters from college girls who watch it, and I'm like, really, out of my films, that's your favorite? Because it's old and clunky, but it's a gift that keeps on giving. We said, it had a 10th anniversary, a 20th anniversary, and now it's 35th. And I'm really happy about the place it's held in sort of the history of our film.
It's funny how some of our work that we think is going to be great, sometimes I don't want to say flops, but. Yeah. And other people think it's great. Like there's probably like some fans of the Chris Voss Show that believe like the first 1,000 episodes were like, up into Metallica Black album, and then Metallica Black we like sold out after the next 1,000 episodes. And they're probably like, we like the original Chris Voss, the first 1,000 episodes. And I'm like, those episodes sucked. Like I even think the ones last year suck. But we try and get better all the time, so that's
it's kind of like what we were talking about before. Projects don't happen until they happen, and the way they're received is its own universe. Why, how, who knows?
Yeah, you never know what people are gonna like. Like I'll see YouTube videos that take off for us, and I'll be like, seriously, that one, and like that's gonna be the one that you're gonna go. Like I made a UPS rant video, U.S. Postal Service rant video off of a conflict I had with a delivery contractor, and that video is still up, just hammering it today. Like it just knows never. Got comments like every day, people yelling at the Postal Service.
Yeah, and it's how does that happen? There's a sneak preview of A Perfect Ending that's got 118 million views. Yeah, and it's like it just keeps going. I guess they get into algorithms and sort of explode on there, and from that whole algorithmic method.
It's funny. It's just funny what people tune into and what they like. You hear there a lot of in music. There's a lot of that too, where like I'm kind of dating myself here, but the Black Sabbath album, the song Iron Man, which is one of the breakthrough hits that they had that made them successful. They thought it was a junk. It was like a filler part for the album, and they're like, just throw that stupid thing on there, it'll be fine. I think the Stairway to Heaven might have been close
Oh
to
my
the same.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you're just
absolutely.
like, who could have missed that one? What else do we want to plug and promote while we have you on the show?
I'd love to plug my last film that I did, More Beautiful for Having Been Broken. It's also very, very personal. It's based on my relationship with my son, who's very special needs. And we cast, my number one thing was I was casting an actor who actually had a disability, a real disability. And I was able to cast Kel Farron, who suffers from Fanconi anemia. And he is the best little actor. You couldn't even dream of somebody better than him to represent my son. It was just super awesome. And my daughter, who had been a theater brat, all of her junior high and high school, had her first role in the film as well.
Oh,
and I'm so proud of her that she's in the film. And it has my favorite sequence that I was talking about, because every time I do a love scene, I try to do something different. I'm known for my love scenes and casting leads with super chemistry. And so what I did was intercut it with a dance. I happened to cast Kayla Radomski, who was on the So You Think You Can Dance show, and was one of the finalists in 2008. And so she choreographed the dance sequence. But I intercut that with the love scene and also with this gorgeous sunset that we stole on one of our days off with a huge drone and a huge Jibway camera. So the Blue Love Dance, the making a Sin of Romance, is the making of that sequence, because it took me a year to cut it the right way. I wasn't sure how it would go. I had 18 different producers that went through the film because we couldn't get the funding right away. And everybody said, "Are you kidding? You're going to do these dance sequences? You're out of your mind." And they are the absolute favorite thing people walk away from watching the film, both dance sequences. So I'm very, very proud of that. So that's what Blue Love Dance, A Sin of Romance is about. And it will be out later this year through Nicole Conn Films Global as well.
It sounds like it's got some good cinematography to it as well.
Phenomenal cinematography. Plus,
isn't it amazing what you can do with drones now and stuff? It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And those cameras that you guys use for filming, that's not
I have to have 2 reds on every one of my shoots. I won't do it with anything. I have to have that. That's my thing.
Definitely complicated. Yeah. There you go. What else do we want to plug while we have you here?
Let's see. We plugged Claire of the Moon, Elena Undone, A Perfect Ending. That's a really, A Perfect Ending is a very interesting film. People respond to each of the films in their own way. That's why we have a whole thing where you can vote for your favorite Nicole Conn film, because everybody has their favorite, and they're like, that is your best film. A Perfect Ending. There was a gentleman in the UK, 77 years old, a projectionist, emailed me and said, after all the years I've been in the same theater for 50 years, and your film is my absolute favorite film I've ever seen. So for somebody who's seen all the films for 50 years that have been projected, for him to say that just blew my mind. So we stayed in contact. He used to send my kids gifts and stuff along those lines. He was just a lovely, lovely man.
Wow.
But the biggest Perfect Ending story is a woman contacted me. Her name is Joanne Millar. And she contacted me and told me she saw Perfect Ending and she watched it like every day. She had been in a 40-year marriage with a fairly abusive man, and she was a lesbian and she knew it, but because of the church they went to, she knew she would go to hell because she was sinning.
Oh geez.
We stayed in contact for about a year and a half. Her husband ended up dying from a heart attack and left her a bunch of money, and she funded the entire show of Coming Out for Love. And she came to the set around all those lesbians. And once she left the set, she went home to Canada and she came out to everybody.
Wow.
So that's the power of film, at its extreme. And I always say film can be so, so healing in so many different ways. Plugging Little Man now, my documentary that was very award-winning. Showtime picked it up, ran an Emmy campaign on it. I traveled the country doing speaking engagements and stuff, talking about what it was like to go through a birth of a child who's 100 days early, and not only 100 days early, but is what's called intrauterine growth restricted, because they were not getting any nutrition from the surrogate who was carrying my son.
Oh, wow.
And, so he was born, and there was only 2 hospitals in the country that would revive an under 500 grammer. One was Cedars-Sinai, and one in New York. We happened to be Cedars-Sinai, and that is the only reason my son exists today. Outside of the fact that, the first 5 years, as I said before, we lived in the PICU and the NICU. I mean, it was just nonstop hospital visits.
Wow.
But he'll be 23 the day my book is being published. And he is the most gentle, sweetest, lovable human being on the planet.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. My sister was born premature, not 100 days. That's way early. But she was born a little premature and had issues in childhood, and her baby, she was in the primary children's, the hospital ward where they have all the preemie babies. And I spent a lot of time around the preemie babies and in that hospital ward. I forget what the ward's called. It's
the NICU, the neonatal.
Yeah, and it was hard to go through when I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time, and to see just these babies that were pin cushions, basically.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it was, and they're just suffering because they're just like, hey, it's cold, and what the hell's going on? This isn't,
Well, that's the thing that I, I'm posing to the viewer every step along the way. I'm saving my son's life. But should I be? Should I be doing this? Look at what he's going through. It's like when you're stuck in there, first of all, you don't expect to go in 100 days early to have your next child. And so you completely are in shock, and you're not aware of really what's going on until you've been there for a while, And it's very, very challenging. And the other piece is, I ended up connecting with another preemie mom, and we ended up doing a preemie handbook because there's an entire lexicon of language and acronyms that you can't possibly understand unless you have,
a nursing degree
of some sort there.
Yeah.
So we wrote a preemie handbooks, how to survive the insanity of the NICU. And we had a lot of terms for the mothers, but we called also the Bermuda Triangle, the place where the doctors, the nurses, and the parents meet. Because mothers are used to being the hands-on person for your child. Well, not so in a NICU. You can't touch your child unless they tell you can touch your child. You can't hold your child unless they can figure out a way to, put everything on you, which is in the first time I held my son was probably 8 weeks after I was there.
Oh, really?
And,
wow.
Yeah, they had to put all the, because he's on a ventilator. So it's a big, transition to move them to you. So, but we were able to shoot all of that stuff because we happened to be born before the HIPAA privacy laws were enacted. So Little Man has footage you will never see again. And that's one of the reasons it remains out there.
Yeah. Well, it's good to make people aware of that experience. It changed me. And sometimes I think about it. It left an indelible print, I think, in my life. I remember one of the things we had to do was we had to scrub really hard. We had to do the scrubbing where you couldn't bring germs into that unit because those babies were.
And they get a virus. They all get the virus. It doesn't matter how careful the nurses are. They all get it. It just doesn't matter. And so it's like, it's very critical for people to scrub when they come in from the outside.
Yeah. And those babies, they don't have their defenses up yet. They haven't survived all the stupid bugs we have in the world.
No.
So I'm still trying to survive the stupid political bugs we have in the world, but that's another story.
Oh my God. Don't.
The politics jokes.
Oh my God. Can I just say one thing?
Sure,
I used to watch 3 hours of political news shows. I haven't watched 1 second since the election.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that saw some of the first administration stuff, it's 2025 people. Those of you watching from the ruins 10 years from now on YouTube. It's 2025. I think most people in the first administration were up in arms this time that we're not blowing our hearts out over so much about it, but it is important to yell and scream and use your voice. As we always say on the show, we're all stewards of this democracy, and so it's up to us to keep it, especially when people are declaring themselves king.
Yeah.
Moving on. So give us a final pitch out on your projects you want people to check out, the latest book, TV, film.
The latest book is Descending Thirds. It will be available on Amazon. It's available as a Kindle right now. But it'll be available March 15th. And it is my opus, as it were. Everybody who's read my work thinks this is the best thing I've ever done. And I kind of agree. The story is really a really wonderful story. It's got two sort of jaw-dropping twists, reveals that you don't see coming, which I'm a big fan of the reveal anyway, and I've used it a couple of times in my films. So there's Descending Thirds, and if you go to NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com, you can see all the films that I've done. You can vote on your favorite film if you'd like. We have that ability. You can vote on your favorite contestant from Coming Out for Love as well.
Oh, there you go.
So, it's a lot of wonderful, what I call adult storytelling. That's one of the sort of other earmarks of my features, is that they're not rom-coms. They're real romances. Even though I think romance has gotten a bad rap, the word's gotten a bad rap. It's, romance is a good thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah, we need more romance in this world, I think. Maybe we need to all love each other much under the references we're making with about politics. There you go. Love each other more. So give us your .coms as we go out.
Okay, it's NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com and ComingOutForLove.com and DescendingThirds.com. Come check it out and enjoy.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris. I had a blast.
Thank you. And thanks, Ron, for tuning in.
Fun show. I will recommend it to everybody.
Thank you very much, Nicole. We really appreciate it. And we try and do a lot of infotainment with laughter, fun, education, make the world smarter or dumber. One of the two. But hopefully they'll laugh at it. Anyway, thank you very much, Nicole, for coming to the show. Thanks, Ron, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.